What was supposed to be a peaceful holiday dinner turned into a war zone when my cousin Michael 34M dropped the bomb about our grandfather's inheritance. Years of lies and betrayal spilled out across the table, and everyone had a different truth. Fights, accusations, and family secrets came out one after another until we discovered who had been manipulating us all along. So, I never thought I'd be one of those people writing about family drama on Reddit, but here we are. I'm still shaking after what went down last night. It was our annual Christmas dinner at my Aunt Linda's house. She goes all out every year, huge table, candles, the good china, even those little paper crumbs from Christmas crackers. Normally, it's a mix of awkward small talk and overeating, but this year it exploded. My cousin Michael 34M and I have always had kind of a weird relationship. He's my Uncle Peter's son, and growing up he was the golden child. Always bragging, always somehow getting more attention than the rest of us. I tried to shrug it off, but last night made me realise why things were so lopsided. Dinner started fine. Ham, mashed potatoes, wine pouring like water. My mum Janet was chatting with Aunt Linda. My brother Kevin was busy demolishing the cheese platter, and Michael was being his usual smug self, talking about his new car. Then Aunt Linda raised her glass and said, "I just want to honour Dad this year. It's our first Christmas without him. My grandfather passed last spring, and it's been hard on everyone." The table went quiet for a second, until Michael leaned back in his chair, smirked, and said, "Well, I guess this is a good time to talk about what Grandpa really wanted with his estate." I swear, Forks froze midair. My mom narrowed her eyes. "What do you mean, Michael?" Michael pulled out a folded paper from his pocket. "I've been holding on to this. Grandpa wanted me to manage the inheritance. He trusted me. He said I'd know what to do with it." I felt my stomach drop. My grandfather had always said things would be split evenly among his kids, my mom, my Uncle Peter, and my Aunt Linda. And by extension, us grandkids would be secure too. But Michael was acting like it was all his. Kevin muttered under his breath, "Oh, here we go." Aunt Linda frowned. "Michael, we already saw the will. The lawyer explained it. Everything was to be divided equally. What are you talking about?" Michael tapped the paper dramatically. "That wasn't the real plan. Grandpa didn't trust lawyers. He told me years ago he wanted me to handle things, to make sure the money didn't get wasted. He signed this letter." I could feel the tension ratchet up like a pressure cooker. My mom slammed her wine glass down. "Are you seriously trying to write Dad's wishes during Christmas dinner?" Michael shrugged. "I'm just saying, maybe you didn't know him as well as I did." And just like that, old wounds started ripping open. My mom and Uncle Peter started arguing about who actually spent more time taking care of Grandpa. Aunt Linda was crying, saying this wasn't the time. Kevin muttered that Michael was full of, which didn't help. Meanwhile, Michael just sat there, smug as ever, watching the chaos he'd lit like a match in dry grass. The room was buzzing, voices overlapping, forks clattering against plates. My chest felt tight, like the walls themselves were pressing in. Michael waved the paper in the air like he was holding the 10 Commandments. "Look, I'm not the bad guy here. Grandpa told me he didn't trust Janet or Linda with money. He said you'd waste it. He wanted me to take charge. That's why he gave me this." My mum's face turned crimson. "Excuse me, waste it. I was the one driving him to dialysis 3 times a week. Linda was cooking for him every Sunday. And what did you do? Michael, show up once in a blue moon with a bottle of scotch and act like you were the perfect grandson." Uncle Peter finally chimed in, slamming his fist on the table so hard the gravy boat nearly tipped. "Enough, Michael. Where did you even get that letter?" Michael's smug expression twitched for a moment, then returned. "Grandpa wrote it to me, gave it to me personally." Kevin leaned forward, squinting. "Let me see that," handed it over. Michael pulled the paper back like Kevin was reaching for gold. "No, you will just try to tear it apart. It's not for you." That was when Aunt Linda, who had been quietly dabbing at her eyes, spoke up. "Michael, your grandfather never mentioned anything like this to me, and I was his power of attorney. I handled all his medical bills. So are you saying he lied to me?" Michael looked her dead in the eye and said, "Yes, he didn't trust you with the truth." The air was sucked out of the room. My mum actually gasped. "How dare you?" I couldn't hold back anymore. "Michael, this is..." Grandpa always said things would be fair. He wasn't some schemer pitting us against each other. And honestly, that letter looks like you typed it yourself. His head snapped toward me, his eyes narrowed. "Watch your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, don't I?" I shot back. "Funny how Grandpa supposedly gave you alone this secret letter and never mentioned it to anyone else, not his kids, not his lawyer, not even me when I stayed with him last summer." My mom nodded furiously. "Exactly. If this was real, why didn't he tell me? I was his daughter. He confided everything in me." Michael scoffed. "Oh please, he didn't tell you because you couldn't handle it. You'd just blow through the money." That was the breaking point. My mom stood up so fast her chest scraped against the hardwood floor. "You selfish little liar. Dad would never cut us out like this." Michael stood too, paper still in hand, his voice rising. "Maybe you didn't know Dad like I did. Maybe you were too busy caring about appearances while I was the one he trusted with the truth." The room exploded again, everyone shouting at once. Kevin was cursing, Aunt Linda was sobbing, Uncle Peter was yelling at Michael to sit down, and I just sat there gripping my fork like a weapon. And then I noticed something. From where I was sitting, I caught a glimpse of the letter. The signature at the bottom looked off. Not shaky like Grandpa's handwriting had been near the end. It was smooth. Too smooth. My blood went cold. Michael wasn't just stirring up drama. He was lying. I stared at that letter like it had just screamed at me. Something about the signature felt wrong, too neat, too deliberate. My grandfather's handwriting had always been a little shaky, a little messy, especially toward the end when his hands trembled. This was pristine. I cleared my throat, trying to keep my voice steady. Michael, whose handwriting is this? He looked at me like I'd just accused him of murdering Santa Claus. What are you talking about? This, I said, pointing to the latter. Grandpa's signature. This doesn't look like his. You know, he always wrote like he was in a hurry or tired. This is perfect. Too perfect. Michael's smug facade faltered for a second. Just a flicker, but enough to see it. I don't know what you mean. Oh, come on. You expect us to believe he personally handed this to you, with no witnesses, and you just happened to get the real inheritance letter while the rest of us got nothing. My voice was shaking with anger. Michael, admit it. You made this up. My mom gasped, covering her mouth. Aunt Linda's hands flew to her face. Even Kevin, who had been muttering curses under his breath, leaned forward. Michael's face went red. You're insane. Grandpa trusted me. I'm telling you the truth. I shook my head. No, Grandpa trusted all of us. He trusted me when I stayed with him last summer. He trusted Mom and Linda. He never ever trusted you to control everything. You forged this, didn't you? Michael froze. For the first time all night, he looked genuinely panicked. Aye. Aunt Linda stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. Michael, don't lie. We're family. Grandpa loved us all. You can't write history. Kevin's voice cut through like a knife. Dude, you're done. This is pathetic. Michael's hand shook. The letter wavered in the air. He opened his mouth, probably to yell, but no words came out. I could see the guilt settling in his eyes like a dark cloud he couldn't shake. Uncle Peter leaned over the table, voice low but furious. Michael, this ends now. You're not taking anyone's money. You tried to play us all, and it's over. Michael sank back into his chair, defeated. The paper crumpled in his hands. I felt a mix of relief and anger, like a storm had passed but left wreckage behind. My mom hugged Aunt Linda, both of them still shaking. Kevin muttered something about calling a lawyer to make sure the forged letter never sees the light of day. And I just sat there, staring at Michael, realizing something that hurt more than anything. All these years, the lies, the manipulation, it wasn't just about money. It was about trust. And he had destroyed it completely. The room was silent for a moment, except for the ticking of the old clock on the wall. Michael looked around, his eyes finally meeting ours, and muttered, I thought I was doing the right thing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But mostly, I just wanted him to understand that some lines, once crossed, can't be uncrossed. For now, the holiday dinner was over. The inheritance fight had been exposed. And the truth, painful, messy, but undeniable, was finally out. The house felt heavy, like the air itself was holding its breath. Michael sat slumped in his chair, crumpled letter on the floor, and the rest of us were still trying to process what had just happened. I could hear Aunt Linda quietly sobbing in the corner, my mum pacing back and forth, and Kevin muttering curses under his breath as he cleaned up spilled wine. Unbelievable, my mum finally said, voice tight. All these years, all the lies, and for what? Money? Michael didn't answer. He just stared at the floor, picking at the edge of the letter. I took a deep breath. You know what really hurts? Grandpa trusted us all, and you... I gestured at him. You played everyone. You made us doubt each other. Doubt our memories. Doubt our love for Grandpa. And for what? Some fake sense of power. He flinched but didn't speak. I could feel the tension rising again. Everyone was holding back, waiting for the next blow. Aunt Linda wiped her eyes and shook her head. Michael, you need to leave. Just leave. I can't even look at you right now. Kevin, always the blunt one, added, yeah, pack your crap and get out before I lose it. Michael finally looked up, eyes glossy. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I thought I was doing the right thing. Grandpa, he told me secrets. I was supposed to protect them. I felt a flash of anger. Protect? Why lying? Why, with all of us. That's not protection, that's manipulation. My mom's hands were shaking as she crossed her arms. Do you even hear yourself? Grandpa loved all of us equally. You were too blind to see it, or maybe too selfish. Either way, you broke trust that can't be fixed overnight. Michael's face crumpled. I just wanted to help. Kevin snorted bitterly. Help? You almost ruined Christmas. Ruined Mom, Aunt Linda, even Peter. All for what? Some imaginary favour Grandpa supposedly gave you. The room went quiet for a moment, the weight of Michael's lies settling in light dust. Aunt Linda finally spoke again, softer this time. You need to apologise, not just for the letter, but for everything. For all the lies, the secrets, the jealousy. You can't just expect us to forgive and forget. Michael nodded slowly. I'm sorry. I really am. I thought I was doing right by Grandpa. I didn't know it would hurt everyone like this. My mom let out a shaky laugh, half disbelief, half exhaustion. Sorry isn't going to fix this, Michael. It's going to take years to rebuild any trust, and even then, it might never be the same. I sighed, rubbing my temples. For now, just stay out of our way. Let us process this. Let the truth sink in. We'll deal with the lawyer and the real will tomorrow. Michael hung his head, muttering under his breath. Oh. We all knew he had. And for the first time in years, the family's dynamic shifted. The lies were out. The tension was raw. And even though it was Christmas, nothing felt festive anymore. The holiday dinner was officially over. Not with a bang, but with the quiet, heavy acknowledgement that some family bonds had been tested to their breaking point and only time would tell if they could survive it. The next morning, the tension didn't ease, it thickened. Aunt Linda insisted we call Grandpa's lawyer, Mr. Hensley, to confirm the real will. I think we all wanted validation, a clear line that separated truth from Michael's lies. By 10 a.m., Mr. Hensley arrived. He was a tall man in his 60s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. He greeted us politely, but there was a seriousness in his tone that set the mood immediately. "Good morning," he said, looking around the room. "I understand there's been some confusion regarding your grandfather's estate." Michael shifted uncomfortably, trying to compose himself. "Yes, I have a letter from Grandpa that he gave me personally, but—" He hesitated, unsure how to phrase it. I cut in, holding my hand steady. "Mr. Hensley, we need to verify the real will. Grandpa always intended the estate to be split equally among his kids. Michael claims otherwise, but we have reason to doubt the authenticity of his document." The lawyer raised an eyebrow. "I see. May I review the document?" Michael handed it over reluctantly. Mr. Hensley adjusted his glasses and scanned the letter. His eyes narrowed. He flipped it over, examined the signature. Then he shook his head. This is not your grandfather's handwriting," he said flatly. "It's a forgery. Whoever wrote this clearly tried to mimic his signature, but the differences are obvious to anyone familiar with his documents." The room went silent. Michael's face drained of colour. I just thought. You thought you could manipulate the family for your own gain." My mom interjected sharply. "Do you have any idea how much damage it cost?" Michael stammered, trying to defend himself, but even his usual bravado was gone. "I didn't mean I was just trying to." Mr. Hensley held up a hand. "We'll have to take legal measures to ensure this letter never impacts the estate. The real will be executed exactly as your grandfather intended, split evenly among his children, and I strongly suggest you cooperate fully." Kevin let out a low whistle. "Wow. So not only were you lying, you tried to pull off a forgery." Aunt Linda was crying softly, but I could see the relief in her eyes. "Finally," she whispered. "The truth is out. He can't hurt us anymore." Michael slumped into a chair, muttering, I thought I was doing what was best." I felt a mix of anger and pity. Doing what was best for you, not for Grandpa, not for any of us. You broke trust for a fantasy of control. Mr. Hensley packed up his briefcase, giving Michael a pointed look. "Consider this a serious warning. Any further attempts to manipulate the estate could have legal consequences. Understood?" Michael nodded silently, staring at the floor. He had lost the argument, the credibility, and, I think, part of his soul. As the lawyer left, we sat there in silence. The house no longer felt suffocating, it felt like the weight had shifted. Truth had a way of settling, even if it was messy and painful. My mom finally broke the silence. "I don't think we'll ever trust in the same way again, but at least the estate will be fair. Grandpa would have wanted that." I nodded. Kevin slapped my shoulder. "Family drama's never fun, man, but at least we caught the liar." Michael remained quiet, a shadow of the cousin we thought we knew. The holiday had been ruined, but the truth. That was a small, hard-won victory. By the evening, the tension had softened slightly, though the air was still thick with distrust. Michael had retreated to his room upstairs, and the rest of us sat in the living room, trying to salvage what was left of the holiday. My mom poured herself a cup of tea and sank into the armchair, still trembling. "I can't believe he did that," she muttered. "All these years, we were living in a house built on lies." Aunt Linda nodded. "It's heartbreaking, but at least now we know the truth. No more guessing, no more secrets." Kevin, ever the realist, shrugged. "Well, truth's messy, and Christmas is officially ruined, but at least he can't pull out stunned again." I leaned back against the couch, thinking about everything. Michael had manipulated us for so long that it almost felt like the last 10 years of our family life were a lie. But there was a strange relief in finally seeing the cards on the table. After a long silence, Aunt Linda looked at me and said softly, "Do you think he'll ever admit what he did?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Maybe not, but admitting it isn't the same as taking responsibility. Right now, he needs to see that his actions have consequences, that trust isn't automatic." My mom sighed. "I just don't want the holidays to always be like this. I want some normalcy, even if it's just a little." Kevin smirked faintly. "Normal's overrated anyway, but boundaries, that's something he needs to learn. He can't waltz in and think we'll forget." We spent the rest of the evening talking quietly, mapping out the boundaries we needed to set with Micah. No more solid decisions about family matters. No more secrets. And absolutely no more trying to manipulate or control the estate. Meanwhile, I thought about Michael alone upstairs. Part of me felt anger, but part of me felt a strange pity. He had spent years building this fantasy, thinking he was somehow protecting family or honouring Grandpa. Instead, he had alienated everyone he loved. By the time dinner was completely cleaned up, Aunt Linda had managed a small smile. "We'll get through this, slowly, but at least we're all aware now, no more guessing." Kevin laughed softly, a rare lightness breaking the tension. "Yeah, as long as Michael keeps his brilliant plans to himself. We might even survive next Christmas without a total meltdown." I smiled faintly. "Let's just hope he learned his lesson, and if not, well, we'll deal with it like we always do together." The rest of the night passed quietly. Tree lights twinkled, the remnants of dinner sat on the table, and for the first time since the letter was revealed, I felt a tiny sense of closure. We couldn't undo the lies, but we could decide how to move forward as a family, and it felt like a start. Michael's shadow loomed somewhere upstairs, silent, contemplative. And even though trust had been broken, the foundation of our family wasn't entirely gone. It was fractured, yes, but maybe, just maybe, repairable. The following morning, Michael finally came down. He avoided eye contact, shuffling like a kid caught red-handed. Mom sat at the kitchen table, arms crossed, while Aunt Linda wiped a few remaining tears. Kevin leaned against the counter, looking more amused than anything. Michael cleared his throat. I want to apologise again. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I truly didn't mean to hurt anyone. They thought I was doing what Grandpa wanted. Mom's jaw tightened. Michael, you lied to us. You manipulated us. And you tried to write our family history for your own gain. Words can't undo that. I know, he admitted quietly. I see that now. I panicked when I thought I might lose control. I realised I messed up, big time. Aunt Linda spoke softly but firmly. We're willing to forgive in time, but things won't be the same. You have to prove you can be trusted again. That means honesty. No secrets, no schemes. Kevin snorted. And no more Christmas surprise inheritance letters, please. Michael cracked a small, embarrassed smile. Yeah, no more of that. We spent the rest of the day trying to reclaim some normalcy. Mom and Aunt Linda cooked a simple brunch, and Kevin and I helped set the table. Michael stayed quieter than usual, keeping his distance but participating in small ways, pouring coffee, helping clear dishes. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. Later, I found Michael on the porch, staring out at the snow. I sat down beside him. Look, I get that you thought you were protecting everyone, but lies aren't protection. Trust is everything, and you broke it. He nodded. I know, and I'll do whatever it takes to rebuild it. I just don't know where to start. You start by being honest, I said. Every single time, and by understanding that the family doesn't revolve around what you think you should control. We move forward together, or not at all. He exhaled a long, shaky breath. I can do that. I have to do that. I don't want to be alone in this family. I clapped him on the shoulder. Then start now. Actions speak louder than letters or lies. The day ended quietly. The snow continued to fall outside, coating the yard in white, a clean slate, in contrast to the chaos inside. It felt symbolic, messy, but full of potential for something better. By nightfall, we gathered in the living room, sitting around the tree, the quiet hum of the lights filling the space. No one brought up the letter again, and though the tension lingered, there was also a sense of fragile reconciliation. Michael was still Michael, flawed, manipulative at times, but now at least the mask was off, and the truth had come out. As I watched him finally laugh at one of Kevin's bad jokes, I realised that while trust would take years to rebuild, truth had a way of setting boundaries, healing wounds, and forcing accountability. Our family had faced the storm, confronted the lies, and survived imperfectly, painfully, but together. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough for now.